What's up, everyone? This is Dr. Webb here, and today I'm going to be talking about international medical schools and also international medical graduates, or IMGs, and my thoughts on them. I get a lot of questions from students inquiring about these schools and whether they should go to them or whether they should reapply to a U.S. medical school. So I wanted to give you guys my thoughts. All right, here we go. There are about 60 international medical schools out there, plus or minus, and they're located all over the world, on lots of different Caribbean islands. The first 2 years are just similar to the U.S. medical schools. You do preclinical sciences, and you spend your time in the classroom learning how to be a doctor. Your third and fourth year, you actually spend at remote locations. Most students go to New York for these rotations, unlike the U.S., where your first year, second year are kind of combined with the third and fourth year kind of in the same location. Some advantages of a international medical school are that you'll become a doctor. You go through, like I said, the same amount of training. It's 4 years, and you come out with your MD degree. You get to study in a location, kind of an exotic location, which possibly has a beach that's nearby. So that can be an advantage, and some people might go to these schools because of that. Lots of different disadvantages which I have come across. Number one, most of these schools are for profit, which means they make a profit out of your tuition money. The standards are a little bit lower. Your MCAT score and GPA don't have to be as high, which means that they can set you up for failure. I'm not saying that the MCAT score is a predictor of how well you will do in medical school, because there are lots of there's some studies out there that show that's not true. But if you have a really low MCAT score and also a really low GPA, you might not be ready for medical school. Medical school is extremely hard, extremely fast paced, and you have to be a really good test taker to do well in medical school, because throughout your whole career, you're going to take your step 1 exam, your step 2 exam, your step 3 exam. You're going to take in-service exams during your residency training, and you have to take recertification exams throughout your medical career. So you always are taking tests, and you have to do well in these tests in order to succeed. So I think the fact that a lot of these international schools are accepting students with lower scores just means that they should raise a red flag that, hey, they may be doing this just to make money. I think your class sizes are a lot bigger. They accept a lot of students from all over the world. And what's most important, I think, is that it is harder to get into a residency program. Some stats according to U.S. News shows that about 54% of international medical students get accepted into a U.S. residency. And that's extremely low compared to about 95% in the U.S. And I'm not sure if I will be willing to accept that risk unless it was my last resort. If I had applied to medical school 3 times, 4 times, I would consider kind of applying to U.S. schools also, but in addition, applying to a international school. Some programs, such as my program here at UT San Antonio, we don't accept international medical students. So when you apply for the match process, which is a process in your 4th year of medical school, when you apply for your residency, you can't apply to my program for orthopedic surgery. But there are lots of different programs out there that you can apply to. You just have to find them and apply to those schools or programs that have accepted international medical students in the past. Ross University, which is an international medical school, actually pays hospitals and residency programs in New York and other locations to accept their students in their 3rd and 4th year. And I think that can be an advantage if you go to Ross University. But for the vast majority of them, I think if you do go to international medical school, you have to network. You have to get to know people, the program directors, the chief residents, pretty much all the residents, just so you can have a contact and someone can vouch for you. Your step 1 score has to be, you have to have a good step 1 score. It's competitive already, especially good in some specialties like dermatology, orthopedic surgery. The average is, 240, 245. So if you're coming from an international medical school, you have to get a 250, 260 in order to be competitive for any program to basically look at you. Like I said, you have to network, you have to do well in medical school, and if you're coming in with a low MCAT score and a low GPA, it's going to be hard to develop your test taking strategies, test taking skills just in that small amount of time. So I would be cautious about going to an international medical school. I think they're overpriced. I think they accept students with lower scores and lower MCAT and GPAs, which may not be ready for medical school. But if this is your last resort, say for instance you already applied 3 or 4 times and you just can't get into a U.S. medical school, I would say go ahead and apply to an international medical school, but just be cautious and know that it's going to be harder to match into a U.S. residency program, but not impossible. You're going to have to work a lot harder in medical school. You're going to be away from your family and friends in a location you just have to get used to, and it's going to be more expensive going to these schools. So those are my thoughts about international medical schools. I hope this is helpful for some of you guys who are sending me questions and who are inquiring about this and just can't make up their mind of whether they should apply. But if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to email me, overcomingtheoddsbook@gmail.com, or visit my website, AntonioWebbMD.com. Thank you, and see you next time.